Hello and welcome to the Goldilocks experiment update. We are going to start off the update with our baby bin and take a look, see what's going on here. So as you recall, I said that I added some more bedding because the baby bin and the papa bin were way moist. And I just couldn't wait out any longer, and I had to give them more bedding so that some of that moisture could be absorbed. And it's still quite moist. I'm thinking next time I am going to add some cardboard. I think cardboard does a better job at absorbing moisture than paper. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm checking to see what's going on with the food situation here. And I'm not seeing anything so far. The worms are doing well, but I think the food is all gone. So we're going to feed these guys up, and we're going to put some of the paper material that I put in last time, and we'll put the food right over that. In this week's feeding, they get 6.5 ounces of red pepper. So this is in small pieces. And then of course they're going to get the grit, which is eggshell right here. And then I'm going to put some more of that paper on top. And we're going to bury it. So these guys are doing well. They're going through their food in no time at all, actually. And I can't really say that I'm seeing any bugs or a large amount of them in any case. I'm sure there are some springtails in here, maybe even mites, but I'm not seeing any quantities where I would be concerned about it. So this bin, maybe because I'm really careful about the amount of food that is going in here, maybe that has something to do with it. Typically I don't, I just feed my bins, but maybe because I am monitoring the food more closely. Ooh, don't try to escape. Maybe that's why there's less of a bug issue here. We'll see. Let's go to the mama bin. So here's our mama bin, and let's see what this looks like. A lot of castings, and the moisture in here is perfect. This is how I love to keep my bins. It's flaky, doesn't stick to my gloves, and you could probably even sip this material without having to air it out and dry it out. Beautiful. The worms seem to be nice and happy, and this is where we fed. So let's see how these guys did with the food. So these guys got larger chunks of food, if you recall. Still cut up, but looks like nothing but skin is left. So they are going to get a feeding, and I think I'm going to just feed them. Let's go in here, so to this side. But what I'm going to do is going to take this material, because I want to make sure it stays nice and moist, this paper, because the moisture in this bin seems to be just perfect. Tons of babies constantly on my gloves. Get off of me. Okay, so we're going to give these guys the same amount of food, but of course this is in large chunks. And the eggshells. And I'm noticing same thing here. There really isn't an issue with an overabundance of springtails or spider mites. I don't know if you've noticed that as well. And that probably again has to do with the fact that the food in here is controlled. I don't just throw in as much as I want. I make sure that it's measured out, and so the worms can easily go through it. So I turn the material over just slightly and make sure I check my gloves for no stowaways, and we'll go to our Papa bin. Here is our last bin, Papa bin, and this bin is the one I'm surprised at the most because of how wet the material is actually getting in here. I mean, the worms are plenty happy, you can see, but the material is wetter, even though I put large chunks of food and large chunks of bedding. But incredible, it's just incredible. It's just way, and I think you can actually see it and you can hear it. Now, there is no standing liquid at the bottom. I won't go for that, but still, I'm sure you can see how it clumps together and that it sticks to the gloves. That's how you know that it's just too wet. So even though I keep putting the bedding at the bottom, it's still not enough to just keep this bin the way I like it. So this is where I fed, and oh, cute little worm ball. Cute little worm ball. So we got plenty of babies in here. They're still almost finished with this feeding. I think it was a tomato. Basically they are, just a little bit of it is left. You can see all the babies, wow. Very nice. Okay, so they'll get a feeding. I will definitely put some cardboard towards the bottom next week, maybe even midweek, who knows, because it's really getting too wet. So here is that red pepper. It's whole. I'm just making sure that the worms can get it inside. So there's a hole here. I'm going to put it on top of the existing bedding there at the bottom. And I'm going to give them the eggshell. And of course, try and cover it up with some more bedding. Not sure how that's going to work out, but there we go. That's the best we can do. Put some castings, cover it as best we can. And yeah, so I don't typically, I know you've heard this before, I don't typically put whole pieces of bedding into my bins. I have a shredder, And this is the first time that I'm running this experiment and seeing the results of what can happen when you put even whole pieces. I mean, the worms go through them beautifully. I just didn't realize that it would not absorb the wetness the way it does, for example, in the Momma bin. The Momma bin has perfect consistency of castings and perfect moisture level. So the baby bin and the Papa bin being the most moist, with the baby bin being a close second. Okay, so these guys are done being fed, so that's our update. No bugs here either. And I guess we will see what they do with this feeding by next week. So thanks for joining me.